Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Masks Off. I'm Kim, and I'm so glad to be here today with another Kim. Kim and Kim together. And I can't wait for you to hear this conversation and this topic because it is different from anything you have heard on Masks Off up to this point. So I know I have your curiosity piqued at this point, but before we jump into the conversation, I'm going to start with the quote as I normally do. So the quote is from Kim Coffin, by the way, which is, "How you show up in the bedroom is how you show up in your life." Like, people are like, what the heck? So, but before we start talking and having a conversation about this, can you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself in your own words?
Yeah, for sure. So, where do I start? I'm feeling called to say I'm a mom of three. I don't know why I never start that way, but yeah, I'm a mom of three. I have a 21-year-old, 19-year-old, and 16-year-old children slash adults, semi-adults,
You
right?
honestly do not look old enough to have children that old, I will say. But go ahead.
Thank you. I get that. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm also a very trauma-informed, embodied, but also somatic. Embodied would be somatic, right? Empowerment and sexuality coach, sex, love, and relationship coach, female sexuality coach, tantric coach, all of these things, as well as founder of Get Your Sexy Back. And what that means, basically, like I specialize with female sexuality, relationships, empowerment, tantric sex, and use this all to give my clients the tools to unleash their sexual confidence, to unlock new profound levels of pleasure, power, self-love, empowerment, intimacy, all of these places with themselves, but also with their relationships.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I have no doubt that what you do is going to play really, really well into what I talk about on Masks Off,
Mm.
because my guess is that many, many, many people, and maybe mostly women, but I don't want to stereotype or generalize and say, and my feeling is that a lot of women who tend to wear the people pleaser mask probably struggle in the bedroom. So, but before, okay, let's
I'm
go.
gonna even go into all women. Like, honestly, we're not taught
Mm,
about this. This
yes.
is
Okay,
not
let's talk.
something that we're like told to, hey, like it's all about, your pleasure and his or hers, depending who you're with, and have fun. It's no, there's different messages, there's different things set in place, that it's for babies, that it's for marriage, that it's for
Mm,
his pleasure. And, we could go way back as to why we're wearing masks, but there's many, many reasons why we're wearing masks, and we
mm,
continue to, especially in the bedroom, because it's more intimate, because it's more vulnerable, because it conflicts with our safety, love, and belonging.
mm.
Should we speak our truth?
Yeah.
Threatens them.
Can you say more about that? Like what shows up for you or with clients in terms of the safety and love and belonging?
Yeah, that goes for everyone on the planet. In our subconscious, we are deeply craving safety, love, and belonging. That
Mm,
is in our body. That is like, we will fight to survive
mm,
with our safety, our love, and our belonging. So that goes for everybody. And if we feel like we are going to be exiled or kicked out or not loved or not accepted,
yeah.
or we're going to be unsafe and we're going to be hurt, or somebody's again going to withhold love, that's also safety, right? And then belonging, again, this is my family, this is my relationship, this is my community, whatever it may be. Our bodies are wired to stay safe, to stay loved and belong, like we belong. And if we don't, it means death to our nervous systems. So that quickly goes, okay, I will do whatever you want, right? There goes the people pleasing. There goes the, okay, you want, oh, sure, whatever. I'll just fake it till I make it here, before we know, right? Don't want to be seen, need the lights off. There's so many different ways that these masks show up.
Yes. Oh, I want to go in so many different directions. Well, let me
Go
start.
for
I
it.
want to say so many things. I hate when my brain does this. Sometimes it's actually like baffling, and maybe you can speak to this, that so many women have never experienced an orgasm.
Oh, that too. Very, very many have no clue what their vulva looks like, where their clitoris is. Maybe they found that, or if they have, many of them have not had an orgasm. And then there's also had an orgasm, but only clitoral and have no other pleasure from anywhere else.
Yeah.
There's so many different levels of disconnection, of disempowerment that is not cool because
Um,
this is our body. We are not just a tool to go and create babies or create businesses or create whatever it is. Like there's so much pleasure and wisdom that is innately within our bodies, but we have disconnected from them.
And you've been talking about the disconnection from body and coming into the body a lot as a way of healing.
Mm.
And Gabor Mate talks a lot about trauma, and that we will, in light of wanting to attach, we will forego like our true authentic self every single time. And that
Yeah.
goes to what you were saying about how important it is for that love and belonging, how important it is to have that attachment. And Brene Brown talks all the time about how we are wired for love and connection and belonging. We see it in nature with animals. Do they travel alone or do they travel in herds? So, and if the animals do travel alone, again, there's a really good chance that they may not survive. So it goes back to saying, just underscoring how
Mhm.
important it is what you just said about that. So now, going back into the bedroom that you were talking about, if we're disassociating and cutting off from our bodies in order to stay attached or to please the person we're in the bedroom with, can you talk more about what you've seen with your clients, or what how much that is devastating to the self?
Oh, it's very devastating. It is creating shutdown. It's creating more disconnection. It's creating us being stuck in our heads, constantly go, 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 overworking. Even though it's out of the bedroom now, overworking is a trauma response to
Mhm.
not being comfortable with what is right here, right now. So there's so many things that show up. How many women will have sex and they have to go pee, but they just want them to hurry up and finish. So they won't say anything. Like, really, that breaks my heart.
Mhm.
Or
I
there's a
know.
hair in the way. Or, like, okay, just, we make so many excuses. And I say we from me way back when,
Mm.
for who we are. Yeah, is really, really sad, and the disconnection, I get it, like, but if you look at little children running around 3, 4, 5, they're spinning, they're dancing, they're
Yeah.
twirling, they're, like, running around naked, they're like, "I'm not eating those peas, and I'm not going to sleep right now," like,
Yeah.
done. They know who they are. They'll also touch themselves in their
I was
pleasure.
gonna say that, yes.
Right, to soothe themselves, but
Mm.
many of us have received shame, a hand slap, a dirty look, go to your room. We've been exiled. There goes the belonging,
I know.
right? So very quickly, we've learned that, okay, we have pleasure, but it's not ours. And all of this messaging goes into then, 8, 9, 10, into the teenage years. You're going to, get pregnant. You're going to get an STD. There's all of these other fears that are thrown on it. Before we know it, we're like, okay, I'm just going to walk around and never experience pleasure. Or some of us do and say, screw it, whatever, which is great. But a lot of the time, again, then that's coming from this performative place, from porn, from toxic sexuality, which is not even accurate. Don't even get me started on that one, but just
Well, tell
trust
us
me.
tell the listeners a little bit about toxic sexuality, because you had asked me about that a
Sure.
while back, and so tell us a little bit about what that means for you or to
Like
you.
in porn specific, when we're watching porn,
Mhm.
which many men and women have grown up with, that's how they've learned to experience pleasure. It's movies or
Mhm.
porn. There isn't any parents generally. There are some, let me correct that, but not many sitting down and going, this is your pleasure. This is pleasure. You can experience it this way. Like, so many people are watching porn, magazines, movies, stuff like that. When we go into porn, all not all, many women's vulvas are surgically changed to look a
Mm,
certain way, to
mm,
look pretty, again, back into, you know, patriarchal white culture of how it should look. They're
yeah.
screaming with pleasure the moment the gentleman penetrates them. They're like,
Mm,
coming in less than a few minutes. There's so many not truths in there,
mm,
and there's no foreplay. There's no warming up. A woman actually needs 20 minutes of full turn on before she's ever ready to be penetrated. That's
yeah.
not happening in porn and movies.
And so what happens to how, women end up feeling when this is what they see in society, this is what they're conditioned.
Yeah. There's
What
something wrong with
happens?
them. Something
Yes,
wrong with them. They
yes.
need
What's wrong
to
with me?
fake it till they make it.
Yeah,
They need to just go in there and give them what they want,
yeah.
whatever it may be. And they might experience little glimpses of pleasure, but
Hmm.
there's so much more available to us, so much more. And the solution is to first start healing the body, learning how to be present. Our body, as you said earlier, our body keeps a score for absolutely everything that's ever happened to us, everything that's said. We contract. Many women experience, um, I wanted to say pain as well because of that contraction. That's what reminded me. When we take on some of this messaging and conditioning and trauma, we clench. We don't even realize we're doing it, but our pelvic floor, our more sexual areas hold this trauma, this conditioning, this clenching. Can be from giving birth. It can be
Mm,
from being assaulted. It can be from being penetrated too early, even when you're consenting. It can be all of these things. So we hold this trauma and tension, and sex for many isn't enjoyable. Not
mm,
to mention the orgasm, but like we don't need an orgasm, but no, it's just not pleasurable. They're not feeling because it hurts or it did hurt too much.
yeah.
So it's the disconnection.
So how do you help your clients? How do you help women to, and I keep saying women because I'm just assuming maybe it's not just women who struggle with this.
Yeah, this is also hurt men as well. And I work
Mm,
with females, males, and female and male identifying humans, as
yeah.
well as couples. I work with it all, but I do work with women a lot. Definitely more than everyone else because I have a few programs that are specifically geared to women because I know this disempowerment runs thick and it's actually easier to change the whole cycle if we work with the women and then bring in the men, in my opinion.
Mm,
It has to happen both ways, but the women are so disempowered right now. So it starts with reconnecting to your
mm,
body, right? And I'm actually doing three things at once when I work with my people. I talk about reclaim, reconnect, and remember. So reconnecting to our body, reconnecting to our pleasure, rewriting those sexual stories, taking out the parts of shame and trauma and guilt, maybe pain, tension, whatever that may be, and really coming back into our pleasure and exploring that messaging. And then reclaim is also the parts of reclaiming the places we've been disempowered because there's so many more. All of the
mm,
speaking up, all the masks, all
yes.
of our boundaries, speaking our truth, having and enjoying pleasure is one, right? There's so many different places. What are some of the other ones? Being seen, right? Being
Mm,
seen, feeling sexy and being able to show their sexy is another one.
mm.
Turning on, like actually living from their turn on. I remember when I first heard about this turn on thing, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in a room full of women and I feel turned on right now. What does that mean? No, I should be feeling that way on a regular, every single day basis, no matter who is around. That is my life force energy.
Mm,
That is my juice. That is my connection and everything to life, right? So all of the places that we have been dismissed, discouraged, shut down, cut off, we want to reclaim those places. We also want to reconnect to body. And the result is the remember. That
mm,
is when we remember, like in our body, our core, as to who we are. Like exactly, we connect to this energy that is already within us. It's within every single one of us. And we can from there step into our authentic selves, really know exactly what is for us and what isn't, and reclaim our unapologetic power and live our life that way.
That's amazing. So, there's got to be so many women out there that have been conditioned, and maybe even like, say, from a religious standpoint or just very rigid, strict backgrounds, that they're just here to please the man. They're here to procreate, that, that's their role, that's their job. And they're really, really conditioned. How do you even begin to help these women to start to open up a little bit or be willing
Yeah.
to receive the healing and the work?
Somatic body based is the quick answer to that one. Though I'll go in depth
Mhm.
more, but it's not always the really heavily conditioned women. I actually find it the opposite. Like we can go to school and just alone from school receive messaging about sex, about going to hell, about getting pregnant, about being a whore. There's so much messaging in there that is unspoken, even if you don't go to church. Like it's just there,
Mm,
right? We grow up with it. Um, so where do we start? They have to decide that they want to start, right? They have to
sure.
decide that they're like, okay. And every client is honestly different. Every um, human is different because depends what they're holding. We're going to start rewriting sexual stories. What do you believe right now? What do you want to believe? Then we're going to use tools and practices that bring it back into the body. We're definitely listening to the body a lot. So it's like, okay, I want to, show up and do a Facebook Live for my business right now, but I'm scared shitless.
Mm.
Not about sex, right? But it's all conditioned and all connected. So we're going to check in with body, like what's going on there? Where is it showing up? Where do you feel like maybe feel like I'm going to vomit? Maybe my throat's getting tight. Depends what it is. We're going to start to explore what's going on with their body. We're also bringing in tools to reclaim the places that they want to empower themselves. And we're meeting at all different sides to really heal from within. We're actually using the body as well to guide us as to what's next. It's very, very somatic. There's tons, there's so much. Depends.
And I love that you're saying that, because that's really where my work is at right now as well. My own personal journey, but also what I'm doing with clients. And for the longest time, I was all here from the head. I would
Mm.
see my patterns come up. I would see where I was people pleasing or perfecting and performing. And I was aware, but I wasn't able to do anything differently. I just kept
Mhm.
staying stuck in my patterns until I started to go from my head and take the elevator down into my heart and my body. And I will feel when I'm triggered and a pattern comes up, if I feel it, whether it's in my throat chakra or my stomach or my heart, and like literally now, like I could just twist and squeeze and like feel the energy. And I have to like really go into it and squeeze it and feel it and like release it. And I have to also integrate the same time my shadows and my inner child, and then do the nurturing part. And when I do all those, when I combine the awareness of my patterns and then owning my patterns, and then I go inward into my body, feel the energy, feel the emotions, nurture my inner child, integrate my shadows, there's a shift in the energy. There's a
Mhm.
healing of that pain. Like if that particular wave that comes up. So whether it's like something that comes up in the bedroom, or you said doing a Facebook Live or getting ready to launch my program, and I'm feeling the self-doubt, the imposter syndrome. I did it today. I did it this morning. I woke up and I was like, oh, I felt this wave of self-doubt. So I just went through my process. And then after going through it and shifting the energy, now I'm like, I feel more into my wholeness. I have more spontaneous joy. I have more creativity. And that, I think, is also what you're saying with healing the sexual trauma, because you're opening your energy center so that you have more flow to be more creative, right? If you're more into your sexuality, is it not true you can end up being more creative in the world?
Yes, and there's also more using sacred sexuality and tantra to come literally in to your, I'm going to use root chakra, pussy, or
Yeah.
sacral chakra, womb, of really connecting and tapping into, because the innate wisdom of who we are, like literally lives in our womb. And so it's also juicing up, it's also bringing in pleasure, and pleasure does a few things. One, it's fun.
Yes.
Two, it's also calming and soothing our nervous system at the same time, because
Mm.
grounding and holding our nervous system while we make all of these huge up levels is huge, or while we start to heal something that's living in our heart, if we also need to replace it and hold it with compassion, with love,
Totally.
with pleasure, with all of these pieces. So, yeah, it's bringing it all in. And it's really hard to explain exactly what I would do, because somebody could say, okay, I got this, this, and this. And I could say, great, we're going to go and do this, this, and this. But all of a sudden, different things show up, different things change. So it's very, very body led, very embodied, right? Using that
Mm.
even in our sessions. And it's also the work in between, like coming home in your body and connecting with your body is a practice. Practicing sacred sexuality is a practice. It's not always in the bedroom, some people, I'm going to use slang here, like getting it off kind of thing. That's
Yeah.
not what it's about. It's about really connecting to the essence of who we are, our soul, our inner wisdom. There's so much in there. And then using that to fuel us, using that to hold us while we release our patterns, our conditioning, whatever that may be.
I love it. It's beautiful. And it does sound similar to my process as well. So I was thinking earlier when you were saying something. So this is masks off. And I talk about the people pleaser mask. I talk about the perfectionist mask, the rescuer, the fixer, the controller, and a whole list of other ones. I'm wondering if you and I right now, and if we can't now, maybe we will at some point, create a mask or a name for a mask that people wear
Mm.
in the, like, in terms of this sexual stuff and in the bedroom. Like, what would that mask be? We said a little bit like the people pleaser, but I
I want
feel
you to
like
list them again. You said controller,
controller, the fixer, the rescuer, the people pleaser, the martyr, the competent one, the masculine. There's the mask of masculinity. There's
that one's powerful.
yeah, the mask.
Many of us are living in that masculine world because we've been taught that way. We had
Yes.
to show up at work and our careers as men in women's bodies if we wanted to compete 50,
Yes.
60 years ago, right? So many of us are living in that masculine one. Yeah. And you said confidence. That's a mask. Help me with that one. Fake
Competent.
confidence. Oh,
Competent, being uber
competent.
competent. Like, I am uber competent.
Mm,
I'm just getting all this shit done 24/7. Look at me,
yeah.
when there's a lot of layers
Hiding.
underneath that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. They're all connected. I see them all as all connected. I'm like, why do we separate them out?
I know, it's just
Literally.
for fun to talk about them differently. And I'm
Yeah.
sure whatever happens in the bedroom or the sexual one would totally fall into one of these categories anyway. I just thought it would be
All of them. I'm like, people pleasing,
fun.
perfectionism, performing, controlling, fixing, rescuing, martyring, competence, and masculinity. All of them.
All of them.
All of
Yeah.
them.
Why don't we just call all those masks the sexual mask or
It's
something?
all. That's how we're
Yeah.
going to show up.
Yeah.
If we haven't healed these things in our regular world, we're going to bring them in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Except that, like, the bedroom is such more of a vulnerable area. And that's why I work with sacred sexuality. Like, it is the biggest place that we have been disempowered. If we go back hundreds, thousands of years, it is the biggest place that we have lost our personal sovereignty. And we won't even get started about politics, but the big,
Yeah.
big place. So when we can reconnect and reclaim our personal sovereignty in our
Mhm.
sexuality, we can reclaim everything else.
Mm. That is so beautiful. The work you're doing is so incredibly important. And so it's important. It's like a special niche even.
Mm.
And not, I don't feel like a lot of people are doing it. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't feel like a lot of people are doing what you're doing and saying it in the way that you're saying it and connecting it to the soul growth, the, growing from essence. So I think it's really, really important what you're doing.
Thank you. And it totally makes sense. I say niche, but that would be my
Yes.
niche. I
Yes,
like the
I
niche.
know.
But that is mine, right? That is my own journey. That is my own embodied journey.
Yeah.
And it is my own discoveries that have been so powerful that they have changed my life, completely changed my life. And yeah, I want this for every other single human out there. The world needs to change. There's too much over masculinity, go, 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 not being vulnerable, not being in our truth, showing up in who we are, that it is hurting us. It's actually strangling us from within. And it needs to change because it's making a really big difference across the world right now with this toxic, I don't know, toxic what? Toxic way of being stuck in our heads, not present.
Truly, truly. And I
Yeah.
really do. I believe it's happening and will continue to, but we need a paradigm shift for sure in
Mm,
society. And I think it's happening slowly because I am seeing many more people becoming coaches and doing the inner work and going out and trying to change and help the world. So that's
yeah.
my hope, and for everyone out there as well. So anyway, tell us then, before I have a few questions for you, what would you say would be, of the masks that we just talked about, what would be maybe one, or you could name two, that you have worn or continue to wear?
Oh my gosh, come on.
All
All
of
of them,
them.
right? 1 or 2, no, all of them. Like, I
Yeah.
raising 3 kids, like, years ago was so disconnected, so frustrated, so angry, so showing up like, "Everything's fine, thanks." People pleasing, perfectionism, running in the masculine, being the martyr. Oh my gosh, all of them. I have
Rescuing and
been them
fixing
all.
children, right?
Absolutely controlling.
Mm.
I see every single one in my 20s and 30s. All
How
of them.
about now? Do they still show up for you now, or
Mm,
you've healed
which
most of it?
ones? Sometimes the controller shows up, right? Especially
Mhm.
in business. That's
Mhm.
one that I've been playing with for the last 2 years of really learning how to surrender, really learning how to trust that it's coming as it's coming and it's all good. Perfectionism probably is still kind of mixed in with the controlling a little bit, but for the
Mhm.
most part, I see them all the time, right? And I use my tools on a regular, hourly, not daily, like
Ah,
hourly basis.
yes.
So these are things that seeing and grabbing and embracing, seeing, grabbing and embracing. Like these are things that I have learned how to bring into every single moment of
Mm.
every single day. So they're there, right? They're always going to show up at every single new up level. They're going to show up again. So every single expansion, every single, whoa, we're at a new level here, they're going to show up. So, yeah.
Yes. Oh my God. I love that you brought that up and said that, because I 100% agree. And like I said to you, even this morning, a wave of that perfectionism came in. And the difference is, when the wave comes up, I have a choice. I can choose to push it back down.
Mm,
I can spiritual bypass and say, from the wisdom, oh, Kim, that's just blah, blah, blah. Just do blah, blah, blah. And there gets pushed back down, or I can pause and I can go inward and do my process, use my tools and transmute it, heal it,
yeah.
transform it. And then, okay, now that level, as you said, is good, but it'll come back again, maybe tomorrow, maybe in 3 hours, who knows? Now I look at it as an opportunity for my growth and my healing. I welcome it. Before, years ago, when I didn't know what to do with it and I felt shitty and miserable, is I wanted to push it away as
Yeah.
quickly as I could. Where are the freaking cookies? Give me some wine, give me whatever, because I don't want to deal with this pain. But now I'm like, okay, bring it on. So I love that you said that, daily, hourly, it still shows up. It will always show up. That's a really, really important point for people to understand when they embark on this journey for personal and inner growth. Is
Yeah.
it not?
Yeah, and it doesn't mean that it's, like, painful and shitty and you feel shitty during it. It's just like, "Oh, okay, we're here.
Yes.
You know, what are we going to do? And these are also, I teach my clients and myself, of course, to also insert different tools, different practices, different rituals on a daily basis, because I
Mm,
also find that is also what holds us, what fills our tank and keeps our nervous systems regulated. Because if they're not regulated, we're constantly doing this. When we
agreed.
regulate them more, we've got more of steady and a little,
Yes,
it's different. So yeah, it's really
exactly.
important.
I love that. And that's such a good place to end and a good note to end on. But I do have 5 rapid fire questions for you. You
Okay,
ready?
go
Okay.
for it.
First one, what's your favorite food?
Ooh, I don't have a favorite food. Oh my gosh. I have
Food group?
many,
Many favorite food
many, and
groups.
I go in like fits and spurts on them, you know.
Okay. No
Yeah.
problem. If you could go anywhere in the world, where would you go?
Italy.
Mm. What's your favorite way to take care of yourself?
Sacred pleasure practices.
That one fits perfectly. Name, if you can, name one book that has changed your life.
Ooh, yeah. Pussy Reclamation. Mama Regina Tomashauer.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a bucket list, what's one thing that's on it?
I don't have a bucket list.
Mm, okay.
Yeah,
Fair
pretty well
enough.
because I've hit them all.
Awesome.
I keep
Awesome.
hitting them over and
Yeah.
over and over. So,
What's one thing
yeah.
that you've done in your life that you're really proud of or glad
Uh,
that you did?
Reclaimed, reconnected, and remembered who the fuck I am.
Mm, nice. Do you have one tip or takeaway for the listeners?
That would be trust. Trust your
Mm,
body. Trust the whispers. Trust your body going, ooh, is this for me? Is this something I want to do? Don't get stuck in your head with it going, oh, no, no, forget it.
mm,
Really trust your body. And if you want to do this work and I'm not feeling 100% aligned for you, like I know hundreds of other sex, love, and relationship coaches, I can refer you out. There's so many options and possibilities to find somebody to really reclaim these parts of yourselves. There's so much power in taking our power back. Literally. I know that sounds stupid, but it's true.
it is true. That's awesome. So, how can the listeners find you if
Yeah.
they're interested in knowing where you are?
I keep it pretty consistent. It's Get Your Sexy Back. So getyoursexyback.ca for Canada for my
Mm,
website. Get Your Sexy Back podcast, Get Your Sexy Back coach on Instagram with underscores in between each of the words. On Facebook, I'm Kim Coffin. You can friend me personally, but I also have a private Facebook group for female identifying humans. Get Your Sexy Back. Seeing the pattern here. Yeah. So Get Your Sexy Back works super, super well. You might have to put Kim Coffin in there. Coffin's like the casket, in case you're listening.
And I will put all of this in the show notes as well, so they can find that there too.
Yeah.
So, and I'm excited because we'll be swapping. I'll be on your podcast in just a couple of weeks. So that'll be super fun. They can have
Yeah.
another conversation, listen to another conversation with the two of us. I'm really glad that you came today. It was really, as I said in the very beginning, a different conversation that I'm used to having on Masks Off, but also the same at the same time. Like from the outside, from the mask, it looks like a very different kind of conversation. But when we really got into it, at the core, the essence, we were speaking the same language.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Totally.
thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. So thank you everybody for listening to another episode of Masks Off. And I will see you next week. Take care.